Hello folks, my name's Jack. Welcome to Peach Guitars. What we're going to do today is take a quick look at some guitars I happened to notice that Gibson have just put out recently that rather excited me. Gibson have been making really great stuff recently. They've really returned to stride and they're making the stuff that the players want to use, that you guys want to use again. And this guitar and the other guitar I'm going to show you in this video fit exactly into that mold. So there's two new additions to their original collection, which debuted a few years ago and reintroduced the Les Paul Standard 50s, the Les Paul Standard 60s, etc. All those guitars that we're really familiar with and wanted to see Gibson making again. And to further that point, they've now added to that collection with the Les Paul Junior Double Cut and the Les Paul Special Double Cut. Now these are two of my personal favourite models that Gibson has ever made, purely because they're such brilliant utility guitars. They really allow the personality of the player to come through. And if you're the kind of player that really does a lot from just your hands, maybe you're not so reliant on different effects and gain staging pedals and things like that to get you your tones, you're the kind of player that just likes to do everything, perhaps you could say the old-fashioned way, using the volume control on the guitar, using the tone control on the guitar, and maybe one or two choice pedals on the floor. This is exactly the kind of instrument that is going to elevate that style of playing. And hopefully you'll have heard a little taste of that in the intro. I have a very, very simple guitar rig today. I'm plugged into an Ibanez Tube Screamer for a boost, which you'll hear at certain points, but the core of the tone is coming from a Sir SL15 amplifier that's set to a breakup kind of point. And that's a term that you've probably heard a lot. In case you don't know exactly what I mean by that, let me quickly demonstrate what a breakup tone would give the player. So in essence, when I dig in and play hard with the guitar volume on 10, I get a nice, compressed, kind of raunchy rock tone. As soon as I back off my pick attack just a little bit though, it cleans up, it opens up, and the notes start to bloom in a very nice harmonic way. And all you have to do is notch the volume down, maybe 2-3 numbers maximum, and you're into a very nice sparkly clean tone. Now that's the perfect basis and foundation on which to build other layers of gain if you want with other overdrive pedals, or maybe that's all you need, and I'm going to demonstrate why that might be all you need just by using the controls on the guitar. So you already heard the effect of me just turning the volume down a little bit. What I'm going to do is just play a couple of chords on 10 and gradually back off, and you'll hear the variety of the different shades and textures I'm able to get just from the one control and my pick attack. Let me demonstrate that quick. So it's really all there in your picking hand for a lot of different things, especially if you're playing a lot of rhythm parts. Now for me personally, this is a sound I love, and I've done a number of gigs in the past and recording sessions and things where this is pretty much all an engineer or a band leader really wants to hear from the guitar. You just have to have quite a nice little sonic personality that sits in a very specific place in a mix, and you can control the dynamics yourself. If you need, though, to have a little more control over the actual tone that you're putting out, as well as the volume control and the dynamics, the tone control, which is often overlooked on guitars by guitar players, It's such a useful thing. Now my instinct is always, whatever guitar I'm playing, I always just notch the tone down a tiny bit. It's just an instinctual thing. I'll always take the tone from 10 to about 7 or 8. Let me just show you why that might be. I personally feel it just takes a slight edge off the note. I can always put that treble back on the amp, and, at least in my mind, I know I have a little bit of bite and treble left in reserve with those extra couple of notches on the tone control. Let me show you the difference between the tone at 10 and the tone at about 7 or 8. Now that might come across as quite subtle on this video, but I will say it does affect the way the strings feel. It limits that bandwidth slightly, and I find a good rule with a guitar like this is the lower you have your volume, the higher you might want your tone set, because it brings back some of those harmonics and things that start to diminish when you turn the volume down. So an example of that, let me show you, let's say the volume's set at 6 and the tone at 10, and then I'll invert that and have the volume set at 10 and the tone at 6, and you'll hear it's almost like changing to a different pickup slightly. So here's volume at 6, tone at 10. So hopefully that comes across, and you'll have heard as well at the end there, I turn the tone back up full and it suddenly springs into life. It's another step of dynamic range that you have on the guitar. It gets even more exaggerated when you put on a boost. So I've got a tube screamer for a bit of overdrive, and if I turn the tone down to about 5, you'd be forgiven for expecting this to be a humbucking kind of tone, because it gets nice and mid-rangey and thick, and yet you still have all that clarity and top end in reserve if you want it. So check this out. At the end there, I turn the tone all the way off and you hear it even more exaggeratedly. So that's just a very, very brief insight into the sheer level of tonal and dynamic control you get out of a guitar like this with one pickup. And I personally find there's a lot of freedom in playing a guitar like this. It might not work for everything, but it's almost certainly worth having something like this in your arsenal to afford your playing the chance to bloom a little bit and maybe start exploring doing more with just your hands and your dynamic sensibilities from the guitar itself. But if you are in need of a second pickup, that's where this second guitar might come in. So let's jump over now to the Les Paul Special. Okay, so moving on to the 2 pickup version now, the Les Paul Special. This kind of takes everything I was talking about with the previous guitar, the Junior, and just affords you a couple more options. Obviously, you have a second pickup, so you have the choice to not only just have that bridge, but you can have both together, or you can have the neck by itself. But what I really like about this kind of guitar is it builds on that fundamental principle of still kind of doing everything from the guitar itself, because P90 pickups are so dynamic and so versatile. All you really need is one, but if you have 2, it's a bonus. And I'll tell you why, because what I like to do is, even if I'm playing in kind of bridge pickup mode, so if I'm playing a lot of rhythm parts or lead parts even, the neck pickup just adds the option to thicken itself up a little bit. So whereas I did that on the Junior by turning the tone down and maybe adding a boost, one thing I love to do is go in the middle position, maybe the bridge pickup's on 10, but I can then just vary the neck pickup volume, and the higher I have it, the thicker, and also, weirdly enough, it seems like the tone gets a little cleaner and more high fidelity that way. But just by backing off the neck volume to 6 or 7, it takes that bridge pickup tone and just thickens it up a little bit. So let me start on the bridge, and then I'll add in that neck pickup at about 6, and you'll hear what I'm talking about. And then when I go back to the bridge pickup by itself, again, it's like having the tone control in reserve, going from about 6 or 7 up to 10 again. Suddenly you've got a little bit of extra breathing room in the guitar. So it's all about headroom and control, and this, having the 2 pickups, affords you even more of that. However, of course, it is a neck pickup. It deserves to have its own little demo. So let me show you what the neck pickup on this sounds like. It's a brilliant sound, equally dynamic, but of course it's a neck pickup, so it's a little bit different. So a super throaty, super thick, but still very articulate sound. There's a reason these guitars are loved, and I'm really glad that Gibson's decided to bring them back into the original collection. Now, these guitars have always existed in custom shop form, it's worth saying, and you may have seen a few of those on the channel recently. And those guitars are fantastic, and that's where you get all those exciting finishes and different kind of personality quirks in the guitars. But for the average player, maybe you don't want to necessarily step up to that kind of price bracket. If you just want a guitar like this in your arsenal, now you have the option to have a Gibson, a USA Gibson, but at a considerably more accessible price point, and it's still vintage correct. It still has the same kind of neck profiles they were doing back in this era, originally in the 50s and 60s. They're just very good quality instruments. There's not a lot that can really go wrong on a guitar like this. Of course, you can use or upgrade these pickups and these parts and these capacitors and things, but Gibson have painstakingly recreated the tone of late 50s, early 60s P90 pickups, orange drop capacitors. Very simple but very effective, and everything that I've demonstrated, I haven't played these guitars before, but I just knew that it would deliver all of those concepts that I wanted to put across in this video. So we talked a lot about tones. Let me just quickly talk about aesthetics as well. These are 3 of my favorite Gibson colors on these 2 guitars. Now, the 3 finishes are available on either the Junior or the Special. This one was particularly eye-catching for me today. The ebony on the Special I think really works. I love the little amber coloured pickup selector switch that really offsets the black. But if you're a TV yellow fan or you're a vintage cherry fan, they're all available in both guitars. It keeps it nice and simple, and it allows you to pick exactly which instrument you would like. And speaking of that, if you head to our website via the links in the description below for either of these guitars, or indeed anything that we stock, you'll notice that every single guitar we have in stock is listed by its weight, its serial number, and it'll have individual photographs taken of that exact guitar. So you can choose exactly which model, color, pickup configuration, and weight or serial number that you would like to purchase. And indeed, if you want to take it even further, you can have your guitar plecked with us, so you get a full professional setup service before it leaves the shop. So it's worth checking out. Indeed, that applies to anything that we stock, but as we're talking about these rather fine Gibson instruments today, I think you might like to take a look at the website and see everything that we currently have. So that's about it for today, guys. What do you think of these new Gibson Original Collection Les Paul Juniors and Specials? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know which is your favourite, and indeed which is your favourite colour. And if you have any questions about any of these guitars, drop it down below as well. But until next time, thank you very much for watching. Take care. I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.